Upwork is in hot water right now, and freelancers are kind of pissed.
I want to punch you in the face so bad right now.
If you've been on Upwork within the last month or so, you've probably noticed that it's a lot more expensive to apply for a job. For those of you that aren't on Upwork, how you apply to jobs is through connects. You get a certain amount of connects per month, and you use those connects to then apply for jobs. Some jobs would cost 6 connects, other jobs would cost 10 connects. It definitely varied depending on the job. If you were to look on Upwork now in current day, which is June of 2023, you'll see that to apply for a job, the bare minimum amount of connects is around 8 connects, with some jobs skyrocketing up to 16 connects in order to apply to that job. This is a huge red flag for beginner freelancers who don't have a ton of connects stacked up or are trying to utilize the free basic plan that Upwork offers, which as of right now only offers you 10 connects per month. So the math ain't mathin'. It's really hard to get any sort of job on Upwork if you can really only apply to 1 job per month, if that. Now, why is this happening? Well, it may have something to do with the fact that Upwork just rolled out a new plan regarding their fees and how they charge freelancers and clients to use their platform. Upwork used to work off of a sliding scale of how they would charge freelancers. When you're first starting out, Upwork would charge you a 20% fee for all of your income made on Upwork. That would then decrease depending on how long you've been working for that client. Well, they have ruled that out, and they are now working off of a straight 10% across the board for all client work that you make through Upwork as a freelancer. Now, this is good news for working freelancers because you are taking home more money and paying less to Upwork. It also seems like Upwork has adjusted their way of charging clients, as they have now rolled out a $5 per contract fee that clients must pay in order for them to work with freelancers. However, I don't know what it previously was, as I'm just a freelancer. So I only know the freelancer rates. But moving back to freelancers, because they are now charging less to working freelancers on the platform, it kind of makes sense that they're gonna try and make that money up in other ways. Because if you can't afford to apply for jobs on Upwork without paying for more connects, then you're probably just gonna end up paying for more connects. And Upwork knows that. They are a business. They're gonna charge whatever they need to charge to stay afloat and make a profit with their platform. I've seen a lot of people talking about this on forums, on Reddit, and things like that. And a lot of people are talking about the pros and cons with this situation. One of the cons, obviously, is that for freelancers that are just starting out, you're either gonna just automatically have to pay for a upgraded plan, which as of right now looks like it's $22 a month for a reasonable amount of connects that you can then use to apply to jobs. Or obviously those freelancers are going to have to take their business elsewhere and look for jobs on other platforms, leaving Upwork to be left to freelancers who already have experience on the platform and existing clients and don't have a problem paying that amount of money because their ROI is higher because they're more likely to get a job on the platform. A pro to this situation is that it may be a way for Upwork to naturally work out scams. If less people are applying to jobs, if people are taking more of a cautious approach to applying for jobs because they may only have enough connects to apply to 1 job per month, they're going to scour Upwork to find the right perfect job for them and not apply to jobs that don't have a verified payment method or seem a little scammy, and thus are less likely to fall into a trap with some of these scammy clients. I'd also like to hope that Upwork is going to put forth their own efforts towards having less scams on their platform, and maybe this is part of ruling that out. Maybe they are in the works of changing how people look at Upwork as a platform. Rather than it being a great starting platform for freelancers, maybe they're going to try and up their positioning as more of a place for higher quality clientele, higher quality work being posted. And if it is going to be a more positive place for freelancers in the upper echelon, then it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a different thing that we're all going to have to get used to. But circling back to the reason why you might be here is that you may be a beginner and you may be thinking, is it worth being on Upwork Upwork anymore. As a person who grew as a freelancer through Upwork and continues to vouch for Upwork, I'm not so sure if I want to continue vouching for Upwork to you if you are a beginner looking to just get your foot in the door as a freelance video editor. So if you are a beginner freelance video editor or freelancer in general, let's talk more about where you should be looking if not Upwork. So where else do you go if not Upwork? Well, as much as I'd love to talk about Fiverr, I think that Fiverr has some issues of its own, and it's also an extremely bloated platform. So I don't really want to touch on that today. I'd rather touch on some newer or more stable alternatives that I think are valid and worth talking about. And the first thing we're going to talk about is free alternatives, because that's really what everybody wants to hear. They want to hear, hey, there is a free way to go about applying for jobs that doesn't have to include Upwork. So the first one I want to talk about is Outsourcely. Outsourcely is a newer site that I have just come across in my own research, and it seems like it tailors itself a little bit more to the Filipino community, but overall, I think Outsourcely works as an option. Now, more than likely, since we are talking about outsourcing, the pay is probably going to not necessarily reflect US American prices, but if you do live outside of the United States, this may be a solid option for you, at least to get your foot in the door and start meeting companies. It seems like Outsourcely is a free platform to use for the freelancer. The employer pays to use the platform, and that's how Outsourcely makes its money. Okay, the next free alternative I'd like to talk about is People Per Hour. People Per Hour, along with a couple other platforms, I did already talk about in a little bit more detail in this video right here, if you are so interested in delving into the full scheme of options. But I'm just gonna go over it briefly here. People Per Hour is an alternative job platform site for jobs of all types, but I have found that there is a handful of video editing jobs that are featured on here. Now, you can post a job in the similar way that Fiverr has their jobs, and you can post it in the way that Upwork has it. You'll see if you search for video editing jobs, there are people that have pitched their services in sort of a package rate. And so then as a freelancer, you can do that as well. You can decide on what you want to sell, again, similar to the Fiverr platform. But if you'd like, you can also search projects, and then you can quote on them in the same way that you would do so for an Upwork job. Now, you'll see that a lot of them are per hour rates, a lot of them are fixed price rates. That would then be up to you to just decide your preference or however you want to negotiate your price for these jobs. And they definitely vary, similar to Upwork. There are some jobs that seem very small or like a little personal job, and then there are some jobs that are for bigger companies, and so they obviously have bigger budgets. And one thing I've talked about in my previous video about People Per Hour that I like about this platform is that you can ask a question on the platform before you apply to the job. So if you look at a job and you're like, oh, this looks kind of interesting, I would like to apply to it, but something is confusing me about the description here, you can ask a question just to clarify what the client's intentions are, and you can wait to see if they respond. Maybe that will even tell you how legit the client is, if they're even going to ever respond to you on the board. But that is a nice little feature that I like to see on People Per Hour. So another site that I came across in my research that I've never talked about before is called FreeUp. And while it seems like it's free to join, FreeUp actually has some criteria, because they claim that if you as a client wants to use FreeUp, you have access to the top 1% of online freelancers. And so to use this platform as a freelancer, my guess is it's going to not be an easy road like it is on Upwork. The barrier to entry is higher than it is. And so if you're just starting as a beginner, you might not want to consider this one, but it's interesting to go on to just to see what the criteria is, like what you need in order to become a FreeUp freelancer, what qualifications you need to start working towards in order to get the very best jobs out there. It seems to work on an agency base where you apply to work as one of their freelancers, and then you obviously get jobs sent to you from the FreeUp company. which is a slightly different take that I kind of like to see and could open up a different kind of opportunity for you. So again, it's definitely worth looking into as an option. And another one that I talk about all the time that I'm not going to touch on too much here, but is the just general job search platforms, Indeed, LinkedIn, and even Simply Hired. All three of these platforms collect from the entire world jobs of all different varying kinds. YouTube video editing, corporate video editing, full-time, part-time, freelance, contract, temporary. It's a wide range of jobs that they are offering on their platforms, but they also are well-known platforms. And so you're more likely to find bigger companies using those platforms, which can obviously lead to just less scams happening. Of course, you can find a scam anywhere. When I was applying for jobs full-time, I was looking on these platforms all the time, a couple times a week, maybe even every day, just to double check if anything were to come through. Because the way that all of these sites work, they are just a collector of so many different kinds of jobs. And jobs that are initially posted on Indeed, you may also find them on LinkedIn. You may also find them on Simply Hired, because they're just this big collection of job search platforms. So definitely worth always checking on a daily or weekly basis, just to make sure you've got all of your bases covered in terms of free sources to apply for freelancing jobs. Okay, shifting gears a little bit, if you're going to be paying for an Upwork subscription to get the connects, you might as well start thinking, is there a better site that I could be paying money towards to get the opportunity for a better job? So I just want to touch on these very briefly, because more than likely you don't want to pay if you're anything like me. But here are just a couple platforms that are paid platforms that are worth just looking into if you are in the game of applying to freelance jobs. The first one is FlexJobs. FlexJobs pitches itself as this amazing alternative, a better way to work. They offer high quality jobs for full-time, part-time, freelance, contract, varying types of work. But they vet all of their companies that are working through them. And this is why you would be paying to use FlexJobs, because the quality of jobs that you'll find on there is a lot higher than what you'll find on paid websites. And the pricing speaks for itself on this one. I mean, $25 a month to use this platform. They are not messing around. They want you to use the site, pay for the site, find a job, and get the heck off of there. Well, I'm sure that's what you would want anyways. But luckily, you can search for video editing jobs before you decide to pay for a subscription there. So if you find a job where you say, hey, this would be the dream job for me, I think that I can really get this job, or if you find a large handful of recently posted jobs at the time that you want the opportunity to apply to, it definitely could be worth paying at least for a month of this service. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is Thumbtack. Thumbtack is a tricky platform, and I would really only use it or even look into using it if you are fully committed to getting a job on Thumbtack. Maybe you've looked everywhere else, you can't find a job, you know you've got the skills to apply for a job, but you just haven't found that opportunity to make that match between you and a client. And I say that because in Thumbtack, you have to pay a certain amount per month to basically sell yourself on the platform. So you are paying for leads and for your placement in the search when you are on Thumbtack. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of this way of working, but it may work for you and it may be worth looking into if something like that could appeal to you. I've seen the jobs that are posted on Thumbtack or the amount of video editing freelancers that are on Thumbtack, so I know that it can work as a good platform if you are looking for jobs as a freelance video editor, but beware, because you may end up spending more money than you intended to on Thumbtack. Okay, next up is Freelancer. The only reason I know about Freelancer at all is because they've been surging on their social media marketing efforts, and I've been seeing a ton of their TikToks that relate to being a freelancer in all sorts of ways. And I was interested in what they offered, so I was looking into it, and I did obviously find that they are a platform that helps connect freelancers and clients. Now, while Freelancer does start out as a free plan, you can join for free, you can put all your services on there for free, and you can even bid on a client project for free. However, you can only bid on one per day. And so it's worth putting this in the paid category because it's kind of hard to develop a reputation on a platform like Freelancer if you are only applying to one job per day. However, it is still technically free, but the paid plan is around $8 a month, which is a heck of a lot better than what 𝗠𝗢𝗥 or even FlexJobs offers. And you get some pretty good features that cater to you as a freelancer. So definitely worth looking into. Now, let's talk about alternatives. Again, you can find more in-depth information from this video that I will post here because I've talked about alternatives to job platforms in the past in more detail, but I do want to touch on them here because they are important. And when you're first starting out, it really is important to get creative with how you're finding jobs because everybody's looking on these platforms. Everybody's looking on Upwork and Fiverr. And if you are not able to compete with the rest of the world in terms of your experience, you need to get that experience from somewhere else. A lot of times that may mean doing work for free, doing internships, and doing things with the people around you physically. So I highly suggest tapping into your local network. Did you go to high school with people that were also interested in making movies? And can you guys make those on the side with your phones? Can you start a YouTube channel or a podcast or just start putting more videos up on your Instagram? Can you find a local Facebook group that is centered around indie productions in your area and figure out how you can step in and help some of those to meet more people? Can you put yourself out there letting more people know around you in your local area that you like to edit video and that you have the capabilities to edit video for other people and that you are just looking to gain experience? You know, a lot of selling yourself comes with being a beginner really in anything, but especially as a freelance video editor, a lot of people don't even think about that as an option when they are thinking, hey, maybe I'm thinking about starting a YouTube channel, or maybe I'm thinking about starting to post ads for my business. And so definitely check your local network and see if you can use that to your advantage when you are first starting out. I will also, of course, always recommend cold emailing. You can cold email local companies in your area and tell them, hey, I live in your area and I really like your coffee shop or your comic book shop. And if you ever need video editing work done, let me know. I mean, a lot more professional than that, but you can also email other vendors around you as well. I've talked about going on the Knot or on wedding websites and looking up local vendors in your area, like local videographers or video production companies, and finding out the ones that are local to you and contacting them and saying, hey, I know that you shoot for weddings. If you have too much video that you need to work with and you need help and you need an editor, let me know. Some videographers don't really like editing, and so maybe you'll get lucky and work with one of them. And of course, also speaking of Facebook groups that I touched on before, definitely double check your Facebook groups in your area and definitely check out this video, which I have solely dedicated to the best Facebook groups that I have found in terms of ones that post legit job opportunities that you can use as a way to get your foot in the door. Again, some you need to be in the physical area and some are remote. So it's definitely worth looking into these as an alternative to these big wig job websites. I would love to hear your thoughts on this matter. Is this the end of Upwork? Is Upwork canceled? Are we done with Upwork? Or do you feel like this is a promising change towards revamping Upwork's kind of fishy past that it's kind of had? And if you don't know what I mean, then check out this video, which touches on some of the kind of scammier jobs that I've found on Upwork. Let me know what you think in the comments below and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already to support my channel. Thank you to my team. Again, I am Colleen and I will catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one.